Happy Halloween, young whippersnappers. It is I, Michael Einstein, here to help you with your fantasy football schedules. Give me a second while I have some of my prune juice. Let me show you. Young whippersnappers, it's actually health aid kombucha. Young whippersnappers, it's good for your digestion and your gut health. When you get old like me, you gotta think about your gut health. All right, I can't keep this voice up the whole time, but just imagine it was like that the whole time. Also, I'm gonna have to be without these spectacles because look at that glare. That glare is ridiculous. You can't see my eyes. All right, now that's more like it. Happy Halloween! Today we're gonna go over the wide receivers that have the best matchups, weeks 9 through 14. That is most useful for fantasy teams that are middle of the pack or at the bottom of the pack. You need wins now. Then we will review teams that have bad matchups from week 9 to 14. You bad teams may want to trade some of them away. Then we will go over the playoff matchups, both good and bad. Some teams have good playoff matchups and good regular season matchups. We'll talk about those as well. And then at the end, I will get to show you something I've been working on for years at this point. My lawyer has finally allowed me to share my grading system with you. It took us...
Good afternoon, Bay Nation.
Jeffrey, you scared the bejeebus out of me. Our grading system. Jeffrey has been a great help in deciphering this grading system. My hair got in my eyes. Yes, how could I forget about you, Jeffrey? You are pivotal to this operation. But I'll save that for the end. We'll do a deep dive on one of these players. But for now, let's get it started. Wide receivers with the best matchups weeks 9 through 14. Jeffrey, who's up first?
George Pickens.
Easiest matchup for the rest of the regular season. He's been wide receiver 20 so far this year. Wide receiver 13 in the last 3 weeks. And he could have been higher. If you need some wins in the regular season, you should probably go get him. I gotta get used to having this hair. Jeffrey, who's next?
A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith.
Now it's probably gonna be tough for you to get A.J. Brown, but you could probably get Devonta Smith. I know that he popped off last week, but he's wide receiver 30 on the year. Last 5 games, wide receiver 54. Devonta Smith with the second easiest road to the playoffs. You might be able to pull that off. And I'm not discounting the big guy. If you can go get A.J. Brown, I get him too. Second easiest schedule for the rest of the year is nothing to frown at. Jeffrey, who's the third easiest matchup?
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley just popped off, but I saw him on the waiver wire. People are not sure about him. His fantastic game he had last week is going to make him more relevant, maybe slightly more difficult to get him, but people aren't really optimistic about the Titans. You could probably get him too. Who's next?
Bears, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze.
Fourth easiest matchup's nothing to sneeze at. Caleb Williams should be getting better over time. A lot of mouths to feed. Not crazy excited about it, but you probably already got some of these guys on your roster. Too many mouths to feed for me to spend up to go get them. But if you already got them, got a good matchups. Jeffrey, who's rounding out number 5?
Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs.
With Anthony Richardson sitting down and Joe Flacco being the starter, I'm a lot more confident in his receivers. These are actually pretty good buy lows. A little risky though, considering at any point Anthony Richardson can come back in and they take a dramatic drop if he does. All right, relevant players outside the top 5. 6 easiest matchups.
Malik Neighbors.
7th easiest.
Brian Thomas Jr.
At 9 we have
Nico Collins.
And rounding out the top 10.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Now that we've done the best matchups, let's check out the worst. Wide receivers with the worst matchups weeks 9 through 14. Cedric Tillman has the worst matchups for the rest of the regular season, but you're using him as like a wide receiver too. Flex play, so I'm not super concerned, but got bad matchups. He's a big boy though, so he should be able to get a little something as a flex. The second hardest matchup is the Patriots. We're gonna move past them. They don't really have a receiver I care about. Jeffrey, who's third?
Zay Flowers and Deontay Johnson.
Gotta update that graphic. Man's on the move. Zay Flowers has been good recently, very good recently. Concerned about adding Deontay Johnson, spreading it even thinner. You got Mark Andrews becoming more relevant. It's getting colder. Derrick Henry's going to get more involved. I think Zay Flowers' value is decreased in the public's opinion with Deontay Johnson showing up there. Only so many mouths to feed. Crowded receiving core. Bad matchups. If somebody's trying to give you a good deal for him, he could be on the move. Next up.
Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin has been absolutely balling recently. 8th best wide receiver on the year, 2nd best wide receiver in the last 3 games. 4th worst matchups, weeks 9 through 14. This should get interesting. Curious to see how the rookie does when the matchups get harder. Next up,
Jacoby Myers,
honestly, no one's really concerned with him, so I'm moving on to number 6.
Keon Coleman, and Amari Cooper.
This one's kind of interesting. Keon Coleman has been in the top 20 the last 5 weeks. Amari Cooper's been up and down, but he's still learning the system, so I'm not super concerned about that. The 6th hardest schedule isn't appealing, obviously, especially with them not really throwing the ball as much, and 3 receivers that they're going to spread the ball to, and they really want to run the ball. I'm not holding on super tight to these guys if you find somebody with a good deal. And I'll speed through 7 through 10. The 7th worst matchups.
Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
You might move off Jalen Waddle, but at the moment, he's wide receiver 46 on the year. You're not really going to get anything for him. So you probably should wait till he has a good game before you trade him. And I'm not getting rid of Tyreek Hill. He's Tyreek Hill. I believe in him. Y'all don't have to. I do. He's the man. Plus, nobody's giving you a haul for him right now anyways. He's been terrible.
DeAndre Hopkins.
With the Kansas City Chiefs, he's got bad matchups. At 8th.
Mike Evans.
Has the 9th worst matchups. And this last one hurts me.
Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua.
My boys. I'm still not getting rid of them. It's just good to know their matchups are not great for the rest of the regular season. What moves are you going to be making because of this? Not saying you have to. Sometimes it's just good to know what the matchups are, and sometimes you're going to want to capitalize on it. What are you going to be doing? Wide receivers with the best matchups in the fantasy football playoffs.
DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze.
These players have the best matchup for the fantasy football playoffs. Let's see if they can capitalize. Jeffrey, who's next?
Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, and Romeo Doubs.
Jaden Reed is my favorite of the 3, but I think all of them will be viable as long as Jordan Love is healthy. Who's next?
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley is back from the dead, and he looks to be back to help you in the fantasy football playoffs. Hopefully you still have him. I know he was dropped in a lot of leagues. Not gonna lie, a little surprised.
Malik Neighbors.
Has the 4th easiest playoff schedule. Love to see it from a rook. He might be helping people win some championships this year. Kid looks good. And at 5 we have
Jacoby Myers.
He's really all alone in this offense. He's gonna surprise some people in these playoff weeks being very useful. He's a pretty good wide receiver. Now let's blitz through 6 through 10. At 6 we have
Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
At 7 we have
Adam Thielen and Xavier Legette.
the 8th easiest matchup is
Keon Coleman and Amari Cooper.
at 9.
Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams.
Rounding out the top 10,
CeeDee Lamb.
wide receivers that have great regular season schedules and playoff schedules, as well as the worst.
DJ Moore.
And the rest of the Chicago Bears receiving core has an easy regular season and playoff schedule. The 4th easiest regular season and the easiest playoff schedule. Gotta love that. Hopefully the quarterback can get it to him. Then we have,
Calvin Ridley.
he has the 3rd easiest regular season schedule and the 3rd easiest playoff schedule. He's set up to help your roster all the way through.
Malik Neighbors.
He has the 6th easiest regular season schedule and the 4th easiest playoff schedule. Is this young blood gonna take us to a fantasy football championship? Wild. Times are changing. And for terrible regular season and playoff schedule, Cedric Tillman. Love the talent. He has the hardest schedule for the rest of the regular season and the 5th hardest schedule for the playoffs. Now it is time for the segment I am most excited about, the Fantasy Bay grading system. Jeffrey and I have worked countless hours, and I wanted to give it to you last year. But my lawyer advised me to keep it under wraps till we went through the proper process. Now that that process is underway, I can finally talk about it, and I'm super excited. We've created a grading system that grades different statistics from A+ to F that help me analyze players at a glance. Let me start off with one on the rookie.
Malik Neighbors.
I wanted to start with the rookie to try not to overwhelm you. I have data from the last decade, but for a rookie, he's only got 1 year. So let's look into how the rookie's doing so far. And keep in mind, he's only played 6 games. This is on a per game basis, so the grades won't be affected. Let's dig into it. A in yards, B+ in touchdowns. That's pretty good. Across fantasy football, he's an A or better. As you can see here, he's better in leagues where you get points for receptions because he catches a lot of balls. In a standard league, he's an A. Everywhere else, A+. A+ in targets, receptions. His yards per reception are low, but that makes sense because he catches a lot of balls and they're not all downfield. Target QBR B- makes sense because Daniel Jones is not good, but Malik Neighbors makes him a little better. Let's get down to some of the nitty gritty. In the red zone, he's an A+ in targets, meaning when they get into the red zone, they go to this man. And he converts pretty well. B+ in red zone receptions, A- in red zone touchdowns. Now this is where it gets interesting. End zone, B+ in end zone targets, but he's an A+ in end zone touchdowns. So when they throw him the ball, the man converts. He's average with his drop rate, mainly because he catches a lot of balls, but he's also dropped 4 so far this year. I don't ding him as much for this because he gets so many targets. He also has a lot of contested catches. Now you might be wondering, how do you get an A+ in contested targets, an A in contested receptions, and a D+ in contested catch rate? It's all relative, my friend. He has 15 contested targets, and he's caught 6 of them. 6 by itself is a decent amount of contested receptions. But out of 15, it's really only 40% of the time, which is not high on the metrics. Still impressive that he's catching these balls, but he has more opportunities than most people, so he catches it at a lower clip. 6 contested catches, still very good. Moving on to the elusive ratings, B+ in avoided tackles is good. Yards after catch an A, that's awesome. Obviously, his yards after catch per reception are going to be low, mainly because he catches so many balls. Moving to the deep stats. Deep receptions, B-. Deep targets, A+. Love that. My man's not getting any deep touchdowns, though. Daniel Jones, tighten up. I'm blaming this one on you. Now let's talk about how he's doing versus man and zone coverage. He's pretty good against zone coverage. Got him at a B. But we have him as an A+ against man coverage. You guard this man in man, and he's taking care of business. Now you may think, well, Mike, no one's trading Malik Neighbors. He was on fire. Look at all this green. And you're right. Weeks 2 through 4, he absolutely dominated in fantasy football in all scoring formats. But he's had 2 weeks off, and then when he came back, he was just aight. D-, B. Maybe people think that it was a rookie luck and they figured him out. Now, do I believe that? No, I don't. I think the rookie's going to be great. I also think that his targets are going to be super high because he's that dude. So, I sent an offer, especially because he has the 6th easiest schedule for the rest of the regular season and the 4th easiest schedule in the playoffs. So if you're looking for somebody that might be slightly undervalued right now, Malik Neighbors might be that guy. Oh, and if you didn't notice, this was done by weeks down here. And just to show you that it's not just a 1-year thing, this is CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's been in the league since 2020. You scroll down here, he's been dominant since 2023. Yards, receptions. He used to really dominate man coverage. Now he's just really good against it. I'm thinking he can bounce back. But I just want to show you that this grading system covers a lot. Let me know if there's any players you want me to break down below. Also, what do you think about the grading system in general? I've been waiting to unveil that forever. I can't wait to go over more players with y'all, show you different ways that I use it. Let me know down below what you think about it. And of all these receivers, who do you like most? Who are you trading for? Who are you trading away? Let me know down in the comments. And you know I gotta click this button right here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and the notification bell down below. If you have any questions, hit me up. Good luck in your matchups this week. I'll talk to you soon. And happy Halloween. Peace.